Welcome to the Porsche Club Insider, your one stop for all things Porsche and PCA. Here's your host, Vu and the Insider crew.
Welcome to episode 67. Look, Manny, it looks like an intimate podcast for you and I today.
Yes, this is the podcast before parade. As soon as we get done this podcast, Robert packs up all these microphones and all this equipment, and we put it into a case, and then we ship it out to Palm Springs, California, where we're going to record, I'm hoping, 2 podcasts.
That'd be awesome.
With some guests, and we're going to do a lot. We're going to have Tech Tactics Live. We're going to have on Thursday and actually Wednesday, we're going to have Alwyn Springer. Then we have one on Thursday with Nathan Mers. And then we have, again, on Friday, which is actually a Tech Day at Parade. So it's going to be insanely busy.
And this is the first time where we've had Robert for like the full time at Parade to be able to capture all this, right?
No, he was at Pocono.
Did he capture on Friday too? Oh, that's right. He was there because he had the big rig set up. Yeah, so it's going to be a blur. Lots of stuff going on. A lot of folks. Can't wait to see everyone from the West Coast. This has been actually one of the shortest times we've had in between podcasts because we were just sitting here with Alex. And just a quick update on that. After our podcast with Alex, he still had the strength to do the tour down in DC with us,
which we got done recording around 10:30, maybe 11 o'clock, and then he wanted to see DC. This just shows you how this poor guy who travels the world for Porsche, and when you travel stuff, I always say with PCA, you don't really sightsee.
No. And
all the places he's been, he's never been to Washington D.C., so he really wanted to see Washington. So we took him at midnight. We were inside the Lincoln Memorial, and I got to say it was kind of funny because we climb up the Lincoln Memorial, go inside, and he stops and he says, "So this is the office of Nancy Pelosi." And I thought he was joking. And I said, "Yeah, right." And he's very serious. I said, "Oh, you're serious?" I said, "No." I said, "This is just the memorial. This is the Lincoln Memorial." And I said, her office, I turned him around and I said, "Look at the Washington Monument." I said, "Now look around the Washington Monument. That dome is Congress." I said, "That's Capitol. That's where all the offices are to the politicians." And so he was orienting. I said, "Guess he saw stairs."
Yeah.
And he thought this is where the offices are. So, yeah, he had a great time. And I think it was cool for me. I don't think I've ever seen D.C. at midnight.
Me neither.
At least the monuments. Even your wife, Luann, we were both having a hard time orienting ourselves in the dark of where everything was. Because, you're used to seeing it at daytime, and you can look across the National Mall and say, okay, there's the Air and Space, there's the Art Museum, and you know where you are. But at night, when everything's dark, the thing that really shocked me was the White House. Mm-hmm. And we couldn't really snap a photo of that because it was completely dark, except for the American flag on top of the White House lit up. It was like some aliens just zapped it out of its place.
I didn't know there was a light switch to turn off the front lights.
I mean, nothing. That was really, you couldn't even see a guard check light.
Nope.
It was really, really.
But wasn't it cool? Like
dark.
there was no traffic. We could park anywhere.
And it was very safe. We walked around, and
it was a cool moment for me when we walked down the walkway at the Vietnam Memorial. I've been there before during the day with lots of people. I got a picture
of you reflecting.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I think Robert.
Yeah, my heart was. Oh, that was tugging at my heart seeing all those names on the wall. So, anyways, it was a very cool experience. Oh, there I am. Yeah, I know. Just all those names, all the people that gave it up for us. So.
That's my favorite monument, I think, because of the fact it's so subtle and it's built into the earth. And when you don't see it as you're driving by, like some of the other, like World War II monument. That's glorious, where the Vietnam Memorial goes. And I think that was by design
very
how they did that.
Solemn, yeah.
Yeah, very well done.
All right, so before I get into PEC Atlanta and the auction and stuff, maybe you can give us a quick update on what you did.
Well, I think what a lot of people did on Saturday, that's when the birthday for Porsche was June 8th. That's when they first registered 356 1. They got their registration papers, or licensing. But Saturday was a chosen date where all the dealers, and they really hooked up with the PCA regions to celebrate Porsche's 75th. And I looked around Facebook and there was tons of pictures in the regions. Everybody did something to celebrate, and we were lucky in Maryland. The weather was just absolutely beautiful, and we celebrated by going to our Cars and Coffee location, and kudos to Will Williams, who kind of runs. Well, he would not kind of. He does run Hunt Valley Horsepower and Cars and Coffee. He does it by himself. He has no help, and he helped direct the PCA volunteers. And apologies to all the other marks who go to the Cars and Coffee, because we took a big chunk of real estate to park over 50 display cars, and I think over 100 cars, plus another 100 Porsches that weren't part of the display.
Wow.
And everyone seemed pretty cool. I didn't see anybody yelling or anything, the fact that we took so much space up. But from there, we had a police escort about a mile down the road to the dealership. And the dealer had parking set up for our special display and everyone else. And they had food, beer, Lamar playing on the big screens, 959 Carrera GTs, Turbo S Flockball. Really nice display. And I saw the same thing throughout Facebook on different regions around the country. They had the same thing. They had special cars, and Milwaukee's on the screen right now. Just everyone just, I think the common theme was it's the people and the cars.
Yeah.
Everyone's having a good time. Just
and the colors.
Saturday.
Kudos to Porsche Cars North America and all the area representatives in coordinating this celebration. One of the things that I noticed in a lot of the photos that people have shown is at PCLA, I noticed this like beautifully random colored Taycan. And as people posted photos of the events at their own dealerships, they must have gotten that wrap pattern to all of the dealers, because there were so many of the same exact car at all these different dealer celebrations.
That's funny, because Hunt Valley didn't have their car.
Oh, they didn't have that one wrapped? Yeah. So I saw a number of them online. So, yeah, the big celebration, and obviously it continued at PCLA. I'm sorry, PCLA and Atlanta. I landed in Atlanta. Ooh, man, we got to bed around 3 a.m. on Thursday night, and my flight was at 6. So I think I closed my eyes for like an hour and got to the airport and landed at PEC Atlanta around 8. And quickly went over to just kind of see all the cars for the auction, the Broad Arrow 75th Porsche anniversary auction, and preview day was packed. Almost shoulder to shoulder, walking through the building to look at all the cars. They had the cars parked in the upper lot. They had it in the lobby. Thankfully, I got in early so I could get some photos without the crowd. It didn't really start the event didn't start till 11 o'clock, I believe. We were there early. Got to, of course, see the Classic Club Coupe and where it was parked. And I hung around the Classic Club Coupe most of the day just to share with all the attendees sort of all the details of the car. And it was sort of a way to say our last goodbyes. As the next day would be when we find out who its new caretaker would be. But it was pretty cool to see all the people there on Friday checking things out. I got to sit in that Coca-Cola 962, Lee's 962. That was pretty cool.
You fit in it? I mean, it's very narrow, the seats. I guess they can be adjusted.
So it's actually very roomy. Well, tons of legroom, right? Obviously, it's a huge car. But the cockpit itself, you definitely, there is a process to get into it. You step into, you put your foot on the seat because you don't want to put it on any of the body panels. And then you just kind of slide your body in. Getting in is the easier part of it. Getting out of it is a little bit harder. But you don't want
to scuff the door sill.
You don't want to scuff the door sill or dent it.
Or 2 feet wide, I think.
It is very wide. And it was kind of a weird feeling. If you've ever seen this car in person, it is a big vehicle. It's a big vehicle, but the cockpit area is kind of tight. And then your leg extends into into this dark hole. And you realize your feet are on the axis of the front wheels.
Yeah, but you're inside the monocoque.
Yes.
The 917, you're just wide open, but the 962, the monocoque.
But it still felt very weird. And and you sit on the right side. I didn't know why you sat on the right side. Because
see
there's
the apexes.
more right. Yeah, exactly. I learned that bit. He's like, yeah, because you on the ratio you have more of the right hand apexes there, and so
First one I got to sit in was the Brumos 962, and Hurley showed me how to get inside of it, and I sat down. I'm like, wow, I said I fit in here pretty comfortably.
yeah.
And he leans in and he goes, hey, that's AJ Foyt's seat.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. Congratulations to Lee for getting that sold. He had an awesome plan B. If it wasn't going to sell, then he would just take it to Rensport and drive it and continue to have fun
He
with
probably
it.
made someone very happy because I probably made an opening at Rensport.
I think so.
And someone else could bring their 962. Imagine having a 962 and being told no.
Yeah.
We don't have room for you at Rensport.
So what do you think the running cost of a 962 is?
Per hour?
Oh shoot, I don't know if he said per hour or per day. That makes a big difference. It's a lot. 5 figures.
Oh, yeah.
5 figures. Yeah.
And the thing is that, Porsche Cars North America in California, they still rebuild the engines. And I think Alwyn Springer, who was there back in the 962 days in the U.S., he still oversees every engine that's rebuilt. So, number one, it's cool that the factory is still supporting that car. And secondly, that the guy who was there when they were glorious in their racing years is still the one overseeing the rebuilding of them.
So the 962 has how many places to put fuel in?
Well, it's got to be more than two, though, since you're asking me that question.
Oh,
I
it's
would say
more than
two.
one. So it's 2. It is 2. And
Why is that?
I guess from both sides?
Well, because some pits are on one side.
Yeah.
Some like, and here's a bit of trivia. I don't think they've changed this, but Watkins Glen was the only place NASCAR had to relocate their fuel because it was on the pits were on the opposite side of what the way they came in. Mm-hmm. It was on the inside, and Daytona is on the inside too, but they're entering it from the different side. So people Watkins Glen told me that.
A funny thing for Lee in the 962 is after they race, they basically take all the fuel out of the car, which makes sense. But now it's at the auction and it needs to run. You need to find fuel for it. So he had to run and get a jug of, I guess, race fuel from somewhere, which he did. And then when he got there, it's like, now which side do you put it in? Are they both connected? Or?
And it's not like a gas cap. You got to have that
Yes.
not pressure release, but you got to have that quick release adapter.
The
in
adapter
your,
and
fuel
everything.
jug.
Yep.
Yeah.
Life with a race car. But he got it done, and it sounded glorious. And Bob Aiken was there at the auction.
The son.
Yes. Yeah. Talking about the car, and I think it went for like 1.1 or something, 1.12. So he did well. Anyways, so Saturday morning, nerves are sort of kicking in. We were a lot like 232 or 242 or something like that. And like other auctions, they kind of kick off the day with a bunch of memorabilia. As I mentioned to some of the others here, like when I registered, I just registered to be in attendance, but I actually ended up getting a Bitters paddle number. I don't know why, but I thought it was cool. And then during the memorabilia, there was some stuff that was like I thought I could possibly go home with something. And Loanne was there, and I was telling Loanne, I was like, all right, so like there's this one Porsche design compass watch. I think it belonged to Dick Barber. And so the face pops up, and you have a compass inside. I was like, that's pretty cool. I mean, that's at least, I could probably do that for like maybe, 2,000 or something like that. That'd be cool. Opens up, 3,000. And it's like, automatically, I'm out of the game. And so many times during the memorabilia auction, I was leaning over to Loanne and saying, yep, I'm out of it already. But
How soon did they open up the bar so the Liquid Courage could
so this
help movers along?
This is what I found interesting, and I don't attend enough auctions to know, but I do remember some auctions I've been to. You have to get your own beer or wine or whatever.
Well,
there's other auctions
the auctions we've been to, we haven't been bidders. Normally,
That's true.
If you're like have the bidder thing, they'll give you.
But I don't. I maybe it was a PEC Atlanta thing, but I don't recall people just being able to walk up because they were asking for tickets from everybody, not just from me.
They got to learn. They got to learn from the casino industry.
I know. I was about to say, let that liquid courage flow. There was about 450 people, especially when it got to time for the cars to go through. There was pretty much standing room only, and they did a nice, I don't know if we have photos of it, but they did like a nice runway, so to speak, for the cars to come up across and sit in front of the stage. And the very first car that led the auction was one that I think all of us really loved, was the early Boxster.
Oh yeah, the 97.
Low
miles.
And it did what I think reasonable money. I think I would have been out at 40. It hammered at 37.5, I think. So plus how
many miles? It had really crazy low miles.
It had like 1,200 miles.
So for 37,000, 40,000, you're getting essentially a new Porsche.
A new Porsche, yeah.
That's not bad.
That's what I said. Yeah.
I mean, like I said before, I would drive it.
So one of the interesting things is, people always talk about, auctions as being a high-end thing, right? So for this auction, do you know what the span was in terms of pricing for the cars?
Well, I think the 904 was the highest.
Yep, the 904 was the highest at $2.3 million.
So what was the lowest car?
The lowest car was a 1990 944 S2 cab, which was very good looking in person.
That was the black one?
Mm-hmm. 23.5.
How many miles did you see?
I don't remember the miles. So a couple, just if you remember back, a couple of cars that we thought that were really nice. Remember that green 944 Coupe, 87? Again, in person was also nice, and it had that super light colored interior that was clean. That went for 27.5. The RS60 Spider, which we also liked, also had a hardtop. That went for 27.5. I thought that was a steal.
That's a very good buy.
I thought that was a steal. And I think that was fairly early on. The GT3 Cup, which I was going after, that went for 60.
What were you going to do with that?
BDE King, hello.
See, the problem with that is if you're not the fastest, everyone's
gonna
gunning for you, so they can say they beat the Cup car.
Yeah. The 86 911 Turbo Look Cab, which in person, not because I'm trying to pump up the value of my own car, but I think my car is nicer. This one went for about 90, or it went for 90. And let's see, yes, the 904 2.3. That's so cool. The car that didn't sell was the 910. I was surprised.
That was the same 910 that was at Works, was it?
I don't know if it was the same one.
It wasn't 001.
I don't know. Carrera GT went for 1.3, and of course the Classic Club Coupe went for a record-breaking, shattering, new ceiling for a 996.
And I think I looked it up, and I'm pretty sure that's also a record even for a 997.
Really?
Because I looked up the price of a Sport Classic and a GT3 RS 4.0.
Yeah.
And none of them have eclipsed $1 million. So
yeah. 1.2 plus buyer's premium.
I think a 996 is more valuable right now than a 997. At least for the Classic Club Coupe. And
it's obviously my phone, blew up after the sale, but going up to, watching each car as it got closer and closer to our car. It's amazing how people do this on a regular basis.
I wish they would have broadcast when they were going to show it stream
live.
Because I didn't know they were going to stream it live. Otherwise, we were all at the dealer. I'm sure the dealer
put it on the big TV or something.
Yeah, exactly. Switch it over to watch the auction.
But it was so nerve-wracking as it got closer to the car. Coming across a block, they said, "Hey, do you mind just saying a couple of words?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah," and just introduce Grant. I'm like, "Oh God, like you don't understand, like, I'm not a quiet person, but that's a big responsibility to open up something this big, represent PCA, represent Porsche, don't
Did you
flub.
Google Grant Larson?
Right. Good thing I know him well enough that I didn't have to do anything like that. I kept it pretty simple.
Well, he doesn't like being known just for the box.
Exactly, and I didn't introduce him as that. And you only have in our case this block of time for the auction for our car ended up being 8 minutes, and it was the longest 8 minutes of my life. My little intro was not even 30 seconds, if that, but it's a big deal to get that right. And what I felt important was to convey to the audience how important this car was to us and to PCA and to Porsche Classic. And then I turned it over to Grant, and he went on the details about the car. So the auction opens at 300, and we thought it would be interesting. And I think Todd Benz, our national secretary, he was serious. He opened the bid at 300, so it was kind of cool to open the bid with the folks that were at the front of the room. And then it was kind of quiet. Like, I don't know. Everybody, I guess, knows that this car was going to go for big money, so not everybody's in the game, right? So it's kind of quiet. So, we get a bid, and then it goes to 500, and then it's kind of quiet again. And Grant leans over to me, and he's like, "Should I say, like, I'll sign it?" I'm like, "No, Grant. We just got to let the auction process do its thing, and just smile and wave and clap when people bid." And then it made a jump to like 800. 900, and now I'm in my head. I'm like, this is heading towards record-setting territory for a 996. And then
900, I think it already was.
Yeah, exactly. And then there was a gentleman in the room, or someone representing a gentleman, but the bid was in the room at 1 million, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we got to a million, got to 1, and then you would think 1.1 would be the next one. But then we got a phone-in bidder. I can't, we're going to keep it anonymous until they're comfortable with us letting people know who it is. But they basically dropped the mic and said 1.2. And then everybody was just, like, everyone just went, 1.2 million sold.
I think it was a very good buy.
Yeah.
It sounds like it is a lot of money, but in perspective, there's no other car like that.
Nope,
and
one of one.
I highly believe that there will never be anyone who copies it because it costs so much to make, and I think it will remain a one-of-one. Whereas all these other cars, there's always more than one version of this car. So, I think if you wanted to have a very unique car that was factory built, wasn't a shop that did this, it was factory built. This is more exclusive than any Singer. Just point blank.
And you have the blessing from the factory, all the workers. We talked about how it's the inspiration for Porsche Classic in their facilities. I do believe the winner of the car has a new Sport Classic, and getting a 2010 Sport Classic, I wouldn't say is.
Well, they made 250 of them.
It's possible. It's possible, right? So this person could possibly put the trilogy together. So that'd be cool.
Yeah, I think it's. I think it was very well bought. It's depending what type of owner you are, you will be very popular as far as people asking you to bring this car. Because if you want to see a special car, those of you who got to see it in person, consider yourself lucky. Because if it doesn't go out in public very often, then you'll read about it in articles, but you may not see it as often as you did this past year when we had it.
Yeah, you definitely won't see it as often, but my hunch is that if we need to see the car, we will be able to see the car again with the new owner and how supportive they are of PCA. I'm just super excited. It's going to a fantastic home. It's going to a home where the Classic Club Coupe will sit with other Porsche icons. So it's going to be cool. All right. What else do we want to get into, Manny? Are we going? So we were. Let me say we wrapped up that day. Celebrations and such, and then Le Mans was in the background. So Sunday morning we walked over to the PEC, and thankfully Michelle Ujeshin and the crew there left the big screen on so we could watch the final of Le Mans with a little bit of Uber Eats from Dunkin' Donuts. We sat down and Man, it was tough to watch.
Yeah, it was. Kudos to those who had, or the Motor Trend TV. They made it easy for me because it was part of my cable package, so I get to watch a whole lot of Le Mans. And yeah, I should have known better because I did write an article whose title was "A Slim Chance to Win."
It's because of you. It's because of you.
It wasn't going to suddenly change for Le Mans how things have been progressing this year. I think the big surprise was Toyota, because they were the favored. Ferrari's been doing very well this year as well, and Porsche put out a video that Robert has showing right now on the YouTube version. I think it was called Dreaming, and it's like obviously dreaming of a win. This wasn't the year. But neither was the first year in 2014 for the 919. They didn't win. So hopefully this is still part of the learning process in the first year, and they will get their act together in some areas and come back. And so kudos to Ferrari. It was great to see their first overall win since 1965.
That was sort of like a storybook, event for them.
It was great because one of their winning drivers, Antonio Giovinazzi, and he was the former F1 driver, and his dream was to drive for Ferrari since he was young. I guess every Italian boy's dream is to drive for Ferrari, and to be able to bring back a Le Mans 24-hour win for the Scuderia was certainly a dream come true.
How many times did you hear sort of the reference of the team at Le Mans will kind of, I wouldn't say rub it in the face, but like take it back to the other team that's responsible for F1. Like,
I saw some tweet that said, "Is there any way possible to switch over the Le Mans strategist and management and crew
that's
over
mean.
to F1?"
That's so mean. I was like, oh my god, I can't tell you how many times I saw references like that.
Yeah, I mean, I felt bad, obviously for Penske Motorsports, because they really put a tremendous effort with 3 cars to try to be competitive. But Le Mans is very, very tough. It's more than just 24 hours of racing. There's a lot of luck involved. And I mean, Toyota experienced this bad luck too. They were in an accident that took out their leading car, and they had all sorts of issues. Porsche had mechanicals. Even the Hertz, the independent team, the Hertz Toyota team, they had a nasty accident. They were running, I think, at the end just to be able to classify as finished. But yeah, I think I watched it up until midnight East Coast time, which was around 6 in the morning, and things weren't looking good for Porsche. So when I woke up, I was praying that everyone else had even worse luck, but not the case. And I guess kudos to Corvette, who in their last year, the team has already announced that they're not going to run next year. We may see it as Pratt Miller, but the factory GM team isn't going to run, and they beat everyone in their final year. So,
and what about the huge Camaro?
They finished.
Yeah,
they finished.
that's
I think
amazing.
34th. They had to put a new transmission in, but
That's a
the
huge
announcers
feather in
said,
their cap.
that every like 3.5 minutes, the French crowd knew when it was coming by, because the distinct V8 American sound going by. So I think that was a huge success, because a lot of these Garage 56 entries don't finish because they're classified as experimental. But
Just imagine
NASCAR
how many people they brought to, the ratings with that car.
Yeah, and what's cool was you had a Formula One ex-champion, a NASCAR ex-champion, and a Le Mans 24-hour winner. So three distinct disciplines of racing, racing one unique car. So to me, that's what is the fun of the Le Mans 24 Hours of Le Mans, is that it brings together all these facets of racing and personalities.
And it was cool to see how incredibly crowded it was. Like, motorsports is alive and strong there. I mean, it was
It's
it was packed.
And it was the 100th anniversary, not the 100th running. I made that mistake. I should have known better. In one of my articles, I wrote the 100th running was not the 100th, because during World War II, they stopped running the race. But it's the 100th anniversary since the first one, and it's back then they were trying to prove that this new fangled thing called the automobile was going to prove to be reliable and a new form of transportation, and now they're trying to prove that hybrid and electric is going to be the new technology, and it'll be exciting to see as the hypercars start to continue to evolve, and hopefully Porsche goes back to their competitive ways. It was a goodbye year for the RSR, the 991 RSR, and it finished third.
Mm-hmm.
The Iron Dames finished, I think, less than 10 or 5 seconds.
10 seconds, I think
10
it was.
seconds behind in fourth place. That was a heartbreaker. They were leading the class.
Yep.
And their pink RSR was hard to miss, and I was really rooting that they would be at the top of the podium.
So close.
But that wasn't the case.
That's crazy, right? 24 hours of racing and comes down to 10 seconds.
But you got to love the fact that it was Corvette, Aston Martin, Porsche, 3 different auto manufacturers. That shows how competitive it's been, and how much participation they have from the manufacturers, and that's what you need to keep this sport alive.
Mm-hmm. All right, so this would be a good time to just remind everyone, Robert, if you want to throw up all the different newsletters, heading over to PCA.org and sign up for e-brake news, performance news, and of course, Mart Fresh news. Let's talk about the videos that dropped recently, a part 2 from Mr. Nathan Mers.
He's just an idiot savant when it comes to.
He's insane. The details you can go into.
I love watching it because I think everyone who watches it, they learn something new, and of course everyone who watches it, even if they aren't interested in a Carrera 3.2, in the comments they're all saying, "Can you do a video next on this? Can you do a video next on this?" And there's still a lot of cars that Nathan still has to.
And what's amazing, he
cover.
does most of that with one take. I mean, you could tell in the video that the gentleman that's filming him is filming him with an iPhone and a microphone. It's like a very basic setup, but the content is so amazing.
I don't know about you, but to me, it's incredibly hard to do it with the script. If I had to memorize the script.
That's why we're not in Hollywood.
I could.
Yeah.
I mean, when we do our 1 mile reviews, it's all pretty much.
Well, a perfect example of that
cuff.
is, the 1 mile reviews we do off the cuff, and it just kind of comes out. But that 30 seconds that I had to say at the auction, I actually wrote it out, and sat there and tried to memorize it, blah blah blah, like an actor would, and I would flub it because I'm trying to remember the line as opposed to just saying what I need to say.
When I was
hard.
president, I think one time I wrote a speech, which I never did. I did everything off the cuff, and I stumbled through that like someone who had never given a speech before, and then I went to just highlights, just bullet points, so I could remember. And of course, one of them was always at the bottom. Remember to thank your wife and kids. But everything else was things I wanted to cover in the speech, and some people are great at. I have. Respect for actors who can remember their lines, and then also for those who can read a written speech like that and make it seem like they're not reading.
A teleprompter would be cool.
I would be like Ron Burgundy. Not the worst opposite of Ron. Ron read everything was on there. I would read ahead and go, "What?"
The other thing I loved about that video is you could apply a lot of what he's talking about, not to just the 84 to 89 Carreras that he's talking about. Like he was talking about, how to look for masking marks and how people reverse tape so that, they can blend in versus having a hard line. And there's a lot of stuff just if you want to do your own pre-purchase inspection that you could watch this and do a pretty good job of checking a car out.
Yeah, and I would tell people who are using this as a guide, not to fall for. And a lot of people selling cars, especially some unscrupulous dealers, will say, "Well, Porsche switches things mid-year; they don't tell anybody." By this time, they weren't doing major switching of. And yes, in the 56 early days, they would change things midway, if they found a better way to do some things, but. I think this is a great guide of how to tell a rocker panel finish, if it's not smooth, it's textured, whether it's been repainted or not. It's a great guide on if you can't afford to bring an expert like Nathan along, you can certainly educate yourself to become. There's in the video pointing to the
different
textured finishes, what's textured, what's not. So if you see that repainted, it's nice and smooth. That's how you know it's been repainted, because it shouldn't be.
Right, and he even pointed out like there should be texture underneath the edge of the fenders.
And I can't remember we put it on there, but like you can tell if the fender's been rolled or not. If you if it feels like a little ledge, then it has been rolled. If you reach up and it's like folded in, it's been rolled.
And these cars must have had dry ice done to them, because the bottom of these cars look probably better than new.
I think Nathan puts them on a trailer, drives them around, or his wife drives the car around, and he sits in the car, and that's how he gets. Because yes, it's
they're immaculate.
Either that or Washington State has incredibly clean roads.
No,
because they don't leak oil, and
good for him. So this next in the news, Porsche news. I don't think I looked at this link. This was something about a 904 on Yahoo News. Is that?
I think it was a 904 that
the one that
was the highest selling.
Oh, the highest selling car. Okay, okay.
At the Broad Arrow auction.
Yep. And I got to hear it run, because it was inside Friday, and of course to stage them out for Saturday. Oh, it sounded so sweet, and it seems surreal. Like sometimes we're around this all the time, and people think that, oh, well, you're just around Porsches all the time. But still, to hear a 904, to hear a Carrera GT start, like it's still just our jaws drop when we get to hear these things.
If you want to get a group of people to come running over, just turn the car on.
Yeah.
Especially a Porsche at a Porsche event, and people just automatically gravitate toward that sound.
And this next item has to do with the Taycan. And I see wings, and this looks like the...
Yeah, so obviously with the Mission X, they're saying that's going to be the Nürburgring killer. But before that, I think Porsche is going to come back at Tesla, who now owns the record. And it's probably going to be this Taycan that we've been seeing being tested at the ring. They're calling it the Taycan GT unofficially. But that's...
looks like a hot rod.
Yeah, tri-motor. It's
big,
the one
big
rumored
wing.
to be the...
Interesting, not center lock wheels?
No, I think from the last set of spy shots, they have taken the...
And not ceramic brakes.
Yeah.
Those are the Porsche surface-coated brakes.
Yes,
which is like the middle range, so to speak. Right? That's not the top line.
Well, that's dustless, though.
Mm-hmm. It's dustless, yeah.
And they only come on the SUVs and sedans. They don't put them on...
Correct. They don't put on sports cars, and I never really got an answer to why that is, because I know a lot of us would love to have that
it was
option.
the weight. Didn't the guy tell us that at the training center? We asked him why it's only on sedan. I thought he said something about the weight.
Honestly, I think it's supply.
Could be. That would make
I
not
think
as romantic of a reason, but
I mean, I think it's supply.
that's with almost anything.
Yeah.
As far as options go.
Well, all right. So how's Rennsport coming along?
It's on track. I would encourage people to sign up to volunteer before all the volunteer spaces are filled up. You get a very cool, unique shirt that only volunteers get. And I've said it before, spectators were trying to buy these shirts off the volunteers because you can't buy them anywhere. And we always make very cool shirts for volunteers. You get a copy of the official poster. And a great way to meet people if you're new to the club, and if you're not new to the club, you can great way to see old friends or whatnot. It's not really hard work; it's more socializing while helping the club out, either parking cars or working in the Porsche Platz area. And I think the shifts are maybe 3 to 4 hours, and it goes by really quick. Porsche sent us the list of legends who have RSVP'd. It's over 50, and it's very impressive. I get the enviable task of picking my dream team of legends I want to come over to
the tent,
to the Porsche Platz tent to talk, and
nice.
We can pick them in pairs. So I'm going to try to do what Porsche did last time, which I really liked, was they picked like they brought Tony Hatter, the designer, and Norbert Zinger, the famous engineer, and the two of them has history because Tony designed the GT1 and Norbert was the racing engineer. and it was a great discussion about how the two of them work together. Norbert pretty much butchering Tony's initial design to make it race worthy, and how Tony worked with Norbert's requirements for cooling and whatnot. But it was a great insight to how the artistry and engineering work together. They had sent the drivers who raced at Le Mans in the 50s, and at the time running the 919, and how much has changed from the amount of team members to drivers. Used to be only 2 drivers at Le Mans. Now there's 3, and what the drivers did before, during the race, after their stint. In the old days, they were helping out with the pit stops. Now, of course, they go and they get refreshed. They get liquids in, dinner, massage, and all that. So it's a lot different than before. But those presentations or discussions are, to me, the best part of Rennsport, because, as I said before, the cars will always be here. The drivers and the engineers and the personalities won't. And so to be able to hear the stories from the people who are there is priceless. And we don't know how much longer some of them are going to be with us.
So speaking of presentations, we might want to talk to Porsche about there'll be at least one car that's going to be released, and that in the past we've been able to get that car over to the tent and them giving a presentation on it. So hopefully that can happen.
It's going to be interesting to see what they release, if they release anything during Monterey Car Week, and what they release at Rennsport. The rumor is the ST is going to be one of those 2 events, and the ST will be driving. And so, that's one they should be able to bring to the tent and do a walk around description like they've done in the past. But we're going to see those cars, go. We may see the next generation 992. That's the other one that's rumored to be coming out soon. And whether that's going to be a hybrid, all rumors, if you read, seem to indicate that it will be a hybrid. Of course, all these rumors also said that the ST would be debuted on June 8th, and Porsche surprised us all with their Mission X. So sometimes these rumors they don't have the best sources.
So also the you were talking about designers, and I think last time we talked about Grant and how he's moved over to more on the classic side. Do you know who, after Grant sort of left his past apartment, who moved into his place? Someone we know very closely. Think interior, Carrera GT.
It's not Christian.
Thorsten Klein. Thorsten Klein.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome.
So I didn't
think
realize
he's coming to Rennsport.
Yes, he should be. So big shout out to him and congratulations to him. But to see him kind of move up the ranks, that's pretty cool.
That'd be great. He always seemed like the junior designer when Tony and Grant were there, and that's great. But that guy had so much enthusiasm for the brand that it made you feel great that he was designing cars, because he was such an enthusiast. And for these guys, when they come to Rennsport, they are having as much fun as we are, even though they're surrounded by this stuff every day. They're just absolutely blown away by the history and by the cars and the people.
And the biggest example this past weekend of that is once Grant landed at PEC and saw that early Boxster, he's like, "How can I bid for that?" he's like, "I have all older ones or ones that I've taken apart and this, that, and the other, but I don't have a fresh,
I think that was very well bought. I mean, I would be, to me, people would yell at me because I would drive it. Because I would look at it
but I think you can drive it for a while without, worrying about...
But you're getting a new Porsche for a fraction of what new Porsches cost. And in the world of where everyone wants analog, this is a pretty analog car.
Even if you drove it on all the nice weekends, I mean, how many miles are you really going to rack up on? And 5 years later, 10 years later, it's now a 10,000 mile car? That's still like a super rare.
It would be like my 914. The whole time you're answering, when was it restored? Or when did you get it painted?
And it was that. And you know how sometimes when things are, it's so original and it hasn't been used, that sometimes it has like that milky, kind of chalky, powdery look on some of the rubber. That's how this was. Like they didn't clean it to make it look all originated, left it as it was, just, you know.
My only concern would be that rear window plastic. No matter how well I don't think you can really feed the plastic, so it's going to dry out.
You know what? I didn't see the top up.
Yeah,
the top was down.
That's my, and unfortunately, Boxster tops, you just can't replace the rear window.
Yeah,
you have to replace the whole top. So that would be the only crushing part, is that you would have to replace the whole top. But that's unfortunately life with a convertible with the plastic window.
So our members, Johnny come latelys. Oh, I finally decided I'm going to go to Rennsport. So remind people what they can and cannot get for Rennsport if they decide to go now.
I think pretty much the only thing, well, number one is rooms. Be prepared to stay an hour away. It's not a bad thing. It's a great drive in, and you're not by yourself. And I'll use this example. At the Sebring 12 Hours, I stayed an hour and 10 minutes away. And I thought, I'm such a schmuck, I had to wait to the last minute to get rooms, and now I got to drive an hour and 10 minutes each way. And I check into this hotel somewhere along Route 17 on the way down to Sebring. And the next morning, I'm in the elevator, and I'm sharing the elevator with two teams running the 12 hours. I told my wife, I'm like, well, I'm not the only one who waited to the last minute. There's two teams that are staying in the same hotel as I am. So, don't feel bad if you're staying over an hour away. You're not missing the action. That's just how widespread the spectators are staying at Rennsport. So find a place to stay, and then you get your general admission ticket.
Still available.
Yes, general admission is still available. I believe hospitality is pretty much sold out. But that's fine, general admission. There's not many grandstands at Laguna. A lot of it's just viewing areas. There's great spots at the top where the corkscrew is that's shaded, and you can sit there for hours watching the cars come down. The other question I get is, can you only go one day? Yes, you can only go one day. Don't be ashamed about going 4 days if you're a Porsche fanatic, because there's so much to see.
You can't take it. You can't take it in one day.
No, my wife's coming. My wife is, obviously, we've been married for over 30 years, and she knew I loved Porsche before we got married. She only comes to the track at the end of the day to see where we're going to go for dinner. She has her own thing she does, sightseeing, going to the beach, and that's perfectly fine, because then I don't feel like I'm worried about her getting bored or anything. So if you bring your significant other who may not be a Porsche fanatic, you don't have to force them to come out to the track all 4 days. There's plenty to do around the Monterey Bay area that will occupy anyone's time. It's not a boring place. But if you come out all 4 days, I'm telling you, you will not get bored. There's just so much to look at, so much to hear, and people to talk to. I've spent hours just in the parking lot talking to people before I realized, oh my God, I got here in the morning and now it's lunchtime and we need to walk over. The slowest day is Thursday. Thursday, then the second slowest time is probably Sunday after lunch, and then maybe Friday. Saturday, without a doubt, is the busiest. That's really, really packed.
But the bookend days are nice if you really want to get good photos and see things while they're being set up or taken down. Not a lot of people you have to bump into. I think it's worth it.
Thursday's the most relaxed day. Yeah. Motor Trend's going to be live streaming the event Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We have found out late in the past that Thursday is about 50% of the attendance of Saturday, so it's pretty laid back. But you can see and hear all the cars running on the track. And I would encourage you to go. I think Tag Heuer might be the sponsor for the tent, where all the top-end race cars are housed. And if you go there in the morning and hang around, you're going to hear 917s, 962s cold starting. And that is memorable if you've never heard a 917 cold start.
So I kind of feel like I know everything about Rennsport and such, and I think I've told you that we're doing it's my wife's birthday, a significant number, and we're going to England for a couple of days. But at the tail end of our trip, I actually will be going to Goodwood.
By yourself?
Well, she's going to come along.
She's going to come along.
I think so. I think so.
Does that mean because you have to go to Wimbledon?
Well, the funny thing is she scored through this lottery thing center seats in the quarterfinals for Wimbledon.
Well, seats on center court.
Oh, what'd I say?
Center seats.
Oh, well, yes. What'd you say?
She got seats at center court.
Oh, yes, that's
court.
it. The main court.
Yeah.
And I guess that's a big deal. She's all super excited
very
about
big
it.
Deal.
Yeah, I'm not the one that's going to be sitting next to her. She chose her tennis friend instead of me. Just kidding. I would much prefer that her and her friend go enjoy it because it would be lost on me.
So what are you doing while she and her tennis friend are watching?
I'm honestly, I'm hoping to connect with Porsche Club Great Britain and see if they've got anything going on then. But then there's like a general day where I'll probably go in and just walk around and see what Wimbledon's all about. Maybe buy a tennis ball or something. And then I'm more looking forward to Goodwood because I really don't know what I'm getting into. Like
this is the Goodwood Festival Speed?
Yes.
Okay.
So not the Revival, which is the one.
difference for listeners who don't know it, or Revival is the one you've probably seen photographs where everyone's dressed like the 50s.
I so want to do that one.
And yeah, I've had friends who go there, and they said it's very cool.
I so want to do that one.
The wives dressed up as Pan Am flight attendants. And
really?
I think they dressed up as pilots.
That's funny.
And one of them was a real pilot. And the people dress up very, very... And evidently, when you get there, there's shops that you can buy vintage clothing if you want to participate and be part of that.
So I'm expecting Goodwood to be like a Rennsport, but all makes.
Yeah, it's and also you see a lot of cars debuting.
And I think there's going to be a car debuting from Porsche there.
And this is what month?
July.
So
Yeah.
we may see the ST there. That may be the.
So I'll be the roving reporter, even though I'm not on the clock. I'm definitely going to bring all my stuff in if I get a chance to get up close and personal with whatever they're revealing. You'll hear it here.
I think it's a bucket list for motoring enthusiasts. I like to see how long it takes to get there from London, and you see these places and you wonder, is this a short drive? You got to, like Watkins Glen is not a short drive from anywhere, I don't think.
And I don't know if I'm even driving. So when we do stuff for PCA, I know all the details, and obviously Melanie keeps me in check, and I know every hour of what I'm doing. But when it comes to family vacations and stuff, I have no clue.
Who's arranging how you get to Goodwood?
So Loanne's doing all the stuff for her side, and then Porsche is arranging for us to be at Goodwood.
Well, pretend you don't have the power of asking Porsche to do this for you, and then find out how you. Your name isn't Vu Gwyn. How do you get? Your name's Manny Albin. How do you get to the Goodwood?
Yes. So excited about that. Anything else before we wrap up this podcast? I have to say. So we're going to be at Parade, obviously, and lots of content's going to come out of that.
You're listening this on the Monday. That means it's Concord Day at
Concord
Parade.
Day, yep.
And oh my God, it's going to be hot out there.
So I was looking. Have you been looking at the forecast? It's supposed to be like 90 something, right?
Yes.
But 90 something dry heat is not that bad.
Okay, I tell you what. You stay out there, and we'll see how long you can stay out there in dry 90-degree heat.
We'll see. We'll see about this dry heat.
But starting Wednesday, for you all who are listening that maybe not aren't coming to Parade, check out our YouTube channel because we will have
live stream
Tactics Live.
Sweet.
On Wednesday, I believe it's at 1 o'clock. So this would be Pacific time. At 1 o'clock Pacific time,
so
we'll have
4
Alan
Eastern.
Springer. This was the episode that he couldn't make a few months ago, and that we're going to do about his book and about his career, and he has some good stories, and he asked if he could be brutally honest, and I said yes, of course.
Do you have your list of questions already?
I'm finishing them up. He
Awesome.
told me to give him the list of questions so he can remember. I'm pretty sure he can remember all these questions from the book. Then Thursday, we're going to pick probably 4 cars from the attendees, and Nathan is going to do his "What's My Porsche Worth?" and it'll be the 3rd year we've done this. So he
Always a popular
he goes
episode.
over exactly. It's a live audience, goes over the cars. And then Friday, we're doing Tech Tactics. I haven't picked which ones we'll do actually live. But once again, if you're not a subscriber, I would subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's free, but that way you get notifications of when these are scheduled for and when they're coming up. Or also subscribe to our Instagram page, Porsche Club of America, and our Facebook page, because it's all be reminders that these special events from Parade are coming. And then some of them we're going to replay later on the year as we go along. But yeah, we'll be showing a lot of content from Parade for those who aren't lucky enough to be part of it.
And this will be Bogdan's first parade, so I'm sure he's going to probably burn up tons of memory cards and
yes, he's planning to hit the hot tubs. I think there's 40 pools there.
hot tubs. All right. So also remember, quickly after parade, registration opens for Treffin Gateway to the West, which the event itself is September 20th to 24th. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you're planning and want to go to that Treffin, make your decisions, go through the website early, know what you want so that when the registration opens, you can fill it out very quickly and then check out almost immediately to secure your spot for that, because it will go very quickly.
Are you ready to announce Unstock yet or not yet?
We are having Unstock. I just don't know the location
Okay.
yet. We've got a couple of locations in mind. So Unstock will
No
happen.
date yet?
Yeah, November, the Sunday before Tech Tactics West. I think it's November
So a week
12th.
before Tech
The
Tactics.
week before Tech Tactics, yep. And of course, Tech Tactics West will be happening. What else was I going to say in between there as well? So we have
We have the open house.
Works Reunion Monterey. Hello.
Yes.
Works Reunion Monterey registration is currently open. We'll be at the Monterey Pines Golf Course. Looking forward to seeing everyone there. Always a huge event.
And shout out to Bruce Canepa, who's going to be housing our Project 964.
Yes, thank you, sir.
That's coming out. It's on the way out right now to Parade, where it'll be there for a week in hospitality. Then it's going to Bruce's place, and then we're going to drive it down for Works Reunion, take it back, and drive it back down for Rennsport. And then Reliable will pick it up and take it down to L.A. for Unstock in November, and then it comes back here.
Comes back home for a final.
On this week's e-break, so by the time you read this, you can check the webpage. It's either Project 964, it's Project German, so it's with the JEKT 964.org, or you just go to PCA.org. I think it's will probably be on the front page. Update article and everything we've done, and the sponsors who have helped us.
It's looking fantastic.
Yeah, the
car
car's from a
looks-
long way.
Yeah.
Between the ceramic coating, the wheels, the
From the
seats.
day that we got it, I think people in the know would say it was probably a $40,000 car just because it had a VIN. But to most people, they would have thought it was a $10,000 to $20,000 car, all beat up and left for gone. But now, I mean, it looks six figures easily.
Yeah, yes, it's it was an RS build with an eye on everything could be unbolted and returned completely back to stock if necessary. But it looks very sharp.
It's running well. It's got the classic radio. It's got the new seats. It's for those in the West Coast. Hopefully, you get to see it in person and let us know what you think about
And
it.
the air conditioning works, believe it or not. At Speed Motors had it, and I asked them just take a peek at the air conditioning. I'm not expecting miracles. And they charged it up and ran it, and they said it's sat
holding
for 24 hours in the same pressure. And I drove it back to the office, and it was nice cold air.
Nice. All right. So thank you for listening. If you aren't currently a PCA member and own a Porsche, what are you waiting for? Be sure to have your VIN handy. We'll get you set up. If you don't own a Porsche, we have the test drive program. We'll help you find your dream car. Remember to follow our podcast Instagram page, behind the scenes photos, Porsche Club Insider, all one word. You can always message us at podcast@pca.org. We love seeing your comments. Be sure to hit the like button. And if you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe. We're getting so close to, I think, 75,000 subscribers, which is a nice marker for us, on our way to 100,000. Stay in touch. Until next time, stay safe, and we'll catch you down the road.